I think we're getting the first images of the Prime Minister who's just touched down in Johannesburg. He's there for the big BRICS Summit. Remember, a lot of anticipation about this particular BRICS Summit. This is coming just before the big G20 also that India is chairing, and the venue is going to be in the national capital. We'll also try and get our team to get you more insight into why this BRICS Summit is so very important. But do remember, earlier the Prime Minister has put out his departure statement where he says that BRICS has been pursuing a strong cooperation agenda across various sectors. And I quote what the Prime Minister said. He says, "We value that BRICS has become a platform for discussing and deliberating on issues of concern for the entire global South." Remember, a lot of narrative, a lot of focus this time is on global South. And could India be that one leader, that one unifying voice that unites the entire global South? This is what a lot of experts believe possibly is a shift as far as the narrative is also concerned. BRICS, remember, is the collaboration of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Abhishek, the Prime Minister has just touched down in Johannesburg. This is a very, very significant BRICS summit, Abhishek, considering that, he's also going to be in Greece a little later. That visit again is very important. But the first in-person visit that, we'll see after the end of COVID and 2019, Abhishek, and also significantly after the Russia-Ukraine war, what really is the importance of this visit by the Prime Minister to Johannesburg?
BRICS is an important global South grouping. Essentially, it began as an economic grouping, but now increasingly it's becoming a global South grouping, and that's why clamor for becoming members of the loose grouping. And there are 40 aspirants and 23 formal applications, and the South Africans really want to broad base it. We don't know what happens to the acronym of BRICS after all these nations join, because each alphabet of the BRICS represents one country. But then what is important is the Prime Minister visiting there physically shows the importance that India attaches, and also the possibility that in the evening, later, in just a couple of hours from now, Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping would be coming face to face. Whether this translates into a polar side, goes beyond a handshake or just a courtesy hello, that's something which the world would be watching, not just people in India and China, because this is the first time they are meeting after 2020, the G20 Bali summit, and last year, in fact, but that was just hello. It happened where there was social gathering going on, but nothing on India-China per se. So if something on that line happens, it's going to be important. So that's going to be the most important takeaway, if at all anything beyond a normal courtesy handshake happens between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping, given the standoff we are having in Ladakh and the kind of plain speaking the Indian side has done with the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval saying that there is an absolute absence of trust, and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar saying that the Chinese really have to pull back and the disengagement is not yet complete. So I think that would be the most important aspect. Apart from that, of course, other things on the agenda apart from expansion of BRICS is about, the changing of the norms of lending. BRICS, remember, has a new development bank, and it lends to member states. Other aspirants wanting to become members, they would want a lending mechanism so that they can also get money out of this bank as an alternative to World Bank and IMF, which is seen as which are seen as tools in the hands of the West. And so it's becoming a West versus global South. Also, the interesting bit is whether the leadership goes to the Chinese, because South Africa increasingly is taking a position which sort of takes them away from the West and more on the Chinese side, because China happens to be their biggest trading partner. So I think very important summit, and the next 3 days, Prime Minister has BRICS meeting, Prime Minister has BRICS plus Africa meeting, Prime Minister has BRICS business meeting, then Prime Minister has BRICS plus meeting, which is about BRICS plus the aspirants. Total of about 50 odd global heads of government, heads of state participating. So I think a good 2 days of diplomatic engagement there for the Indian delegation led by Prime Minister Modi.
Oh, yes. And Abhishek, before I let you go, I have to ask you this, because earlier questions were asked to the foreign secretary of that meeting. A lot of buzz about Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping meeting. And he said that the schedule for the bilateral meetings is still evolving. He didn't go into the details. Is there a confirmation? Will we see that meeting happening? Abhishek?
Joburg, and travels to Greece. Out of that dozen, if it is Chinese, we don't know. But as I said, it would be a big takeaway if the meeting actually happened, because remember, the Chinese have not made the kind of pullback of troops that India wants. The Chinese have not made the kind of adjustments that they should be making to underscore the intent to de-escalate. So I think till that happens, normalization is really not possible. And if normalization is not happening, then what do the two leaders talk? Do they talk about giving instructions to their respective leaders, military leaders, to pull back? And if that happens, maybe that would be a good move forward. But then it's speculated whether the meeting would take place or not. Tonight, there is a retreat where the leaders meet informally. Maybe we will get some pictures of maybe a shake hand happening. If the two leaders want to take it forward from there, we would know tomorrow.
All right, Abhishek, we leave it there. The Prime Minister, remember, like Abhishek also underscored, had put forward that entire departure statement where he says that BRICS has been pursuing a strong cooperation agenda across various sectors. He went on to say, we value that BRICS has become a platform for discussing and deliberating on issues of concern for the entire global south.
आप प्रधानमंत्री को देखने की अगर उनके आज प्रधानमंत्री ब्रिक्स
अमृतपाल आप एक मिनट आप खामोश रखिए क्योंकि हम एक वक्त जो तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं जरा उसको ऑडियंस के साथ सुनाना चाहते हैं अपने दर्शकों को। ये सीधी तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं इस वक्त जोहानिसबर्ग से प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अपने विशेष विमान से साउथ अफ्रीका पहुंचे हुए हैं। ब्रिक्स सम्मेलन में शिरकत करने के लिए पारंपरिक तरीके से प्रधानमंत्री मोदी का स्वागत किया गया। रेड कारपेट साफ तौर से हसीन दिखाई पड़ रहा था और निश्चित तौर से हमको अलग लगे, अनोखा लगे, लेकिन पारंपरिक तरीके से जैसे प्रधानमंत्री का स्वागत किया गया, ये उनका एक कल्चर है जिसके तहत किसी विशेष मेहमान का विशेष तरीके से स्वागत करते हुए साफ तौर पर दिखाई पड़ी तस्वीरें।
और आरेंद्र, मैं चाहूंगा कि थोड़ी सी जानकारी अपने दर्शकों को ये दे दूं कि ये जो आपने पारंपरिक डांस देखा, मैं भी देख रहा था, इसे इंडालमू और इनगोमा कहते हैं। तो ये वहाँ की सांस्कृतिक परंपरा रही है और ये नाम इंडालमू और इनगोमा ये एक विशेष तरीका है डांस के जरिए, नृत्य के जरिए अपने विशेष मेहमान के स्वागत करने का।
हमारे साथ दो खास मेहमान